Hi guys, it's Hope, and today I'm going to be continuing our series on daily devotions and talking about the spiritual discipline of celebration. Alright, so I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how can celebration help me with my spiritual growth? Isn't it something that distracts me? No, absolutely not. A lot of times we get so caught up in the seriousness of life that we forget about the joys and to enjoy being a Christian. I want to start off by sharing a story with you guys. So this man had a dream, and he was with Jesus, and they were sitting at a table in heaven, and they were just talking, and all of a sudden Jesus looks at the man and he says, "I have a question for you." And the man goes, "Oh no, this is where he brings up everything that I did wrong, that I didn't bring enough people to Christ, that I didn't love enough, that I didn't care enough, about all those times that I lied." And he starts going off and he gets filled with fear. And Jesus looks at him and he asks, "Did you enjoy the gift of life? Did you enjoy the gift of life?" We get so caught up and we forget to have joy and to celebrate. 1 Chronicles 16:31 says, "Let the heavens rejoice, let the earth be glad, and let them say among the nations, the Lord reigns." The Lord reigns, and that's the reason we have to celebrate always. The patterns of this world around us is to be negative and to find out what's wrong with things, what's wrong with other people, and what's wrong with ourselves. But Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." One of the fruits of the Spirit is joy. John 15:11 says, "I have told you this, so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete." From a young age in the church, children are taught to have joy. Like this song, "I have the joy, 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 joy down in my heart." We should have an unstoppable joy. One of my favorite worship songs says, "No one can stop this joy." No matter what's happening around us, we should still have joy inside of us. Paul and Silas demonstrate this really well. So they were thrown in jail because they had healed a demon-possessed woman. And not only were they thrown in jail, but before that, they were stripped down and beaten. Now, I don't know about you, but at that point, I wouldn't want to celebrate Christ. I would just want to sit down. But they were in one of the worst parts of the prison. Some translations call it a dungeon. They were shackled at their feet. And Acts 16:25 says this, "At about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them." They were celebrating at this terrible time. They were trapped in jail, but they still knew that Jesus is king. Now, I know this is a scary time, and a lot of us are feeling trapped and abandoned, but God is still king, and don't you ever forget that. Now, Jesus is king isn't the only reason to celebrate, but it is a pretty good one. There are things in our everyday lives that are always worth celebrating. One thing that I love that my grandma does is she always finds a way to celebrate and to give the glory to God. I'll walk up to her one day and she'll tell me about how she finally opened the pickle jar. Now, of course, we celebrate holidays and weddings, but little things count too. When we celebrate, we have fellowship with each other, which is super important. One of Jesus' first miracles was turning water into wine to keep the celebration and fellowship continuing and going. Can you imagine celebrating Christmas alone? No, we do it with our families. Now, we need to celebrate the little things with our family and friends too. They're just as important. But we can't celebrate if you don't let us know. Now, you may think that it's bragging to tell people what you're celebrating, but it's not. Unless you're going with it at the heart that you're bragging, you're not. You're sharing your joys with others so that we can celebrate and be joyful together. Now, I want to know if you did a good job on a test, or you baked something cool, or you're excited about something that's coming in from Amazon. I want you to share it with me so that we can be joyful together. Now, I know that life can get tough and we may feel trapped. But remember that Jesus is King, and that's always a reason to celebrate. Now, I want you guys to comment on this video and tell me what you guys are celebrating right now so that we can celebrate together. Now, remember that today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Have a fantastic day. Bye.